I put together between the book and some notes I took. I made it through a classification for practice of the unified soil classification system, and I kind of want to go through that. Well, I do want to go through that with you if we can keep from getting lost. So let's uh, let's go back. This is example 2.3. I think it's on page 16 of your textbook. We're given a soil sample that's been tested with the following results: liquid limit 30%, plastic limit 12%. Sieve analysis data as follows. And that's we're not going to fool with the 3/8, but the 100, but the number 4 will become important. The 76.5% passing that number 4, 60% passing the number 10, 39.7 the number 40 sieve, and 15.2% passing the 200. The two most important for us will be number 4 and number 200. Well, okay, if you want, I'll highlight you. Those will be the two that we've worked with most. So, reading from the book, but they're wanting us to classify the soil by the USCS, uh, and they're describing a solution, and they're starting right away with because the percentage retained on the number 200 sieve, that's 100 minus 15.2 right here, 100 minus 15. This is the percent passing. If you want the percentage retained, subtract 15.2 from 100. So that gave us 84.8% coarse grain sizes. Now, it goes on. Let's look at this now. We've got 84.8% retained on the number 200 sieve. So, and 100 minus 76.5 for 23.5% was retained on the number 4 sieve. 100 minus 76.5, that was retained on, so we got 23.5 retained on the number 4 sieve, and we have 84.8 retained on the number 200 sieve. So moving on, thus the percentage of coarse fraction, no, I don't want to go there yet. Uh, maybe I do. Maybe I do. So this, oh, this right here, this because the percentage retained on the number 200 sieve is 84.8%, that's more than 50%. So we go to the block labeled coarse grain sand. This is where we're going to start right here. The block labeled coarse grain sand. Let me flip over to the other screen so we can see it. This is where it told us to go. The block level. Here's the whole shebang for the Unified Soil Classification System. Okay, I wonder if I'm too close. Could I get a bigger shot of it? Maybe a little bit better to see that much of it. Okay, so we're in the coarse grain soils already. I mean, we've come that far. Now, I'm going to drop back over here. I'm going back to the book. And let me make a click. Now we're back to the book. And it says this right here, more than 50%, we went to the coarse grain soils. So in table 2.6, that we're not using that table. It's just not enough there, and we'd have to wait on pages loading and unloading. The sample consists of 100 minus 15.2 or 84% coarse grain sizes. That's what's retained. And 100 minus 76 or 23.5% was retained on the number 4 sieve. We got 84.8 retained on the number 200 sieve, and we've got 23.5% retained on the number 4 sieve. So let's read on. Thus, the percentage of coarse fraction retained on the number 4 sieve, the percentage of all of this 84.8, the percentage of the coarse fraction retained on the number 4 sieve is 27.7%. Now, the way you get that is you take that 23.5 that we got earlier on. I don't see it. Oh, this by the number 4 sieve. We got 23.5%, and we want to know what part of 84.8% that was retained on the number 200. So that multiplied times 100, when you divide 23.5 by 84.8, you get 0.277, and you multiply that times 100. So you got 27.7%. And the percentage of coarse fraction that passed the number 4 sieve is 72.3. Add 72.3 to 27. Let me do it for you. To 27.7. And what do you get? I bet it's 100, because we're dealing with 100% here. 27.3 plus 72.3 plus 27.7 equals 100. So that verifies what we're saying, is that 20, and the percentage of coarse fraction that passed the number 4 sieve is 72.3. So you got both of those coming up to 100. And then it says, because, let's follow that, see where that takes us. Because it takes us to another page. Because the percentage retained on the this is not the page I need. This is the wrong example. Excuse me. I do want to get back to in the book. This is not where I need to be. I got to go back to 16 and find where the because went to. So here's all our givens. This is where because, so let me start this over. We came up with 27.7, and if you take 27.7 and add it to 72.3, you're going to get 100. So that takes care of it. But let's read this. The was retained on the number 4 sieve. 23.5 was retained on the number 4 sieve, and that came from our notes up here. 100 minus this. And thus, the percentage of coarse fraction retained on the number 4 sieve is that 23.5 divided by the earlier 84.8 retained on the number 200 sieve is going to give us 0.277, and multiply that times 100 and you get 27.7%. And the percentage of course fraction that passed the number 4 sieve is 72.3. So you take those two and you will come up with 100. So because 72.3 is greater than 50%, go to the block labeled sands, and we'll go to that in table 2.6. Go to the block labeled sands because 72.3% is greater than 50%. And let's get us over there to sands. It says 50% of more of course fraction. We had 72.3% of the course fraction. More than 50% of the course fraction passing the number 4 sieve. That's what we had back here. We had the percentage of course fraction that passed the number 4 sieve is 72.3%. That's passing. This is saying 72 is greater than 50%. Go to block label sand, and here's why. The block label sands is saying because it's 50% or more of course fraction passes the number 4 sieve, it's a sand. So we had 72.3% passing the number 4 sieve. So we have a sand here. Let's read a little bit further. The soil is evidently a sand because the sample contains 15, this is moving on, the sample contains 15.2% passing the number 2 sieve. That's going to have to come from another page, and I'm not going back, but I will verify it with my notes. Let's read on. We have it. I'm going to believe it for now. The soil is evidently a sand because the sample contains 15.2% passing the number 200 sieve, and I do recall that, and I can show it to you momentarily, which is greater than 12% fines. Go to the block label sands with fines. Okay, because we had 15.2% passing the number 2 sieve, which is greater than 12% fines, go to sands with fines. Look over here. Marking it, and I may have got it where it's harder to read, but we have in sands, that's what it gave, but down here we have more than 12% fines. We have 15.2% passing the number 200 sieve. If you have more than 50% fraction passing the number 4 sieve, we had 15.2 passing. And that, which is greater than 12, it tells us to go through the block label sands with fines. So that's what we do. We go to the block label sands with fines. So here we are. Now, the sands with fines, we know we have a sand, but it has fines in it. So we classify it as clay sand. Now, I don't recall what they did. greater than 12%, go to block label sands. We did that. Refer to the next plasticity chart, figure 2.9. Do I have it here? Or do I have it elsewhere? Let's go to the plasticity chart. I think we verified that a while ago, but let's go back to it. According to what we're reading here, with a liquid limit of 30% and a plasticity of 18%, that's because 30 minus 12 is 18, the sample is located above the A line, and the lines are classified, and the fines are classified as CL. If we return to table 2.6, that's way back in the problem, and go to the block label SC, thus the soil is classified SC. If we return to the table 2.2-6, this is, let's just do it. The heck with it. We'll wait on it to load. Let's go to the table 2-6. Refer next to plasticity chart 2.9. Now, with a liquid limit of 30 and a plasticity of 18, recall that the plasticity index is the difference between the sample is located above the A line. So we can prove that here. We did that a while ago. We went over to 18%. We drew a line across. We went to 30% up, and that put us above the A line. That put us into the CL line, as the book said. I think it said it put us above the A line, so that's in the CL, just the CL, the clay with low passes. And the fines are classified as CL. That's what the table did. Return to 2.6 and go to the block label SC. If we go to the block labeled SC here, it says clayey sand right here. Thus, the soil is classified SC, i.e. clayey sand. So we did it, and we did it right. It's just we did it fast, and a little bit of this is the next problem. We're not going to do it uh, this time, but we got to go through a classification. We went through it fast, but it was pretty self-explanatory. Uh, so that's enough for now. I will put this in the module 9, I think, week 9.